Hello and welcome to Dario Comics, and today's video is sponsored by a drawing of Bella Thorne. I didn't make as good as I could, but I tried. I guess I had to fit the picture I had into, a square space, and and the face I tried, but I didn't get it as beauty as the real model. So what are we talking about today? Some very interesting topics. I will hit you with two videos. The first one, we will talk about Gargoyles, the TV show from the 90s. Yesterday I went back to basic, and yeah, we will take a look at, not today, but in the future, a drawing at the anatomy. So we will be able to draw hot girls and boys. After this, I will tell you about my new comic idea, which is called Dario Hawaii. I will show you this in the next video. And yesterday, I returned to making comics, and the law of attraction told me you're not a vibrational match to the things you want. That is why you attract lack instead of having it, and you should know that you deserve it. And I went into the things why I don't deserve what I want, and sometimes we grow up with a low self-esteem due to society and our parents taking away our power and the things we want and need, and instead we then become something less, and then we become, instead of self-worthy, independent, important, we become dependent and a burden for ourselves. And from there, the downward spiral is vicious. But that's not the topic of today. The topic of today is, let me see. The topic of today is 90s Gargoyle, from Disney Studios. It's an animated TV show. So, this is a channel about comics. Why the hell are you talking always about beliefs, trauma, different stuff nobody cares about? Well, this is a channel which I make for you aspiring artists, hopefully comic artists, but this is a channel about story, about art, and about telling those stories unfiltered, and uncompromised, so you can tell what you have seen and what you see as your truth, so everybody else can experience that and see where, if it's useful, if it's a useful truth you can see. So well into the video. Okay. Let me talk about, first of all, Gargoyles from the 90s. So I will make videos that I think are important to you. This morning I woke up and I played a bit of the guitar. Where is it? Like here. I played the guitar, and then I was getting into the kitchen and making some breakfast, and in my head, somehow, I had something like DuckTales or Captain Baloo, like TV show jingles. And then I had this gargoyle thing come up. And sometimes you gotta follow your intuition. And then I thought, man, I wanna hear the gargoyle OST, and as I was watching it and hearing it, it was like, it's not just an animated TV show, that is mother effing cinema. And that's what we are talking about. When I have a channel about comic, I'll call it Dario's Comic School, we're talking about bigger than life, or life, about stories told in an interesting way. And I was watching this Gargoyles, and the production value was so high, like the camera angles, and this is an animated show from the 90s, the camera angles and I reminded myself, and the music was like I get goosebumps from it. Like it's really good, and I remember the show as a show that really inspired me and that I always loved to watch. And that is stuff worth talking about. And after the trailer or the original soundtrack, no, intro soundtrack was running, I will link it down below. There was an other video, I guess an IGN video. I will link that. That is a very important video. Watch that. It's a 10-minute video of how they produced it. And this is important because like the showrunner or the producer, the writer was one person. Not that it has to be one person, but this person used to work in comics. And I was astonished by hearing all those things because sometimes I'm a spiritual person, and I think you should have faith in something higher than yourself. And if you have faith in something higher than yourself, you're not just relying on yourself, but this higher power wants you to become a real capable beast. Like it wants you to be the strongest, the most beautiful, the most giving, the most loving, the most you can soak up pain and still get up and love again. So this showrunner, or I call it showrunner, but it was really like writer, producer, and idea giver. I don't know his name, but you will watch it if you follow the link down below. And they had this idea, and it was really interesting. Like Gargoyles was very well animated. There are a bunch of episodes where the style is kind of wonky, but it's very beautifully drawn. Like the layouts are, I don't know if it's like Bruce Timm's Batman or something like that, that's stylized but still grounded in reality. But it's really beautifully made. The story is really great. The seasons are really great. The characters are really great. And so I was young and I was just blown away. Like that always made my day. I don't know. I went to school, I went to work, and then I came home, and then there was back then TV was big, and I sat down and I watched Gargoyles, 1 or 2 episodes, and that made my day. And then the producer of the show and the writer talks, or the IGN video talks, how this guy was making comics with another guy, and then they went over to Disney, and the ideas the guy had for this Gargoyle TV show was so impressive, like so creative. Nothing like the past 20 years, that's the problem we're always talking about. People are rehashing shit, are just, oh, we need a lesbian, we need a black guy, we need a gender swapped Ghostbusters or Darth Vader, and then we mix it all together and then we have our woke juicy shit. That shit does not work. What works is you read fiction, you experience life, you get punched by life by Chuck Norris fists in your face, and you retreat, and you get like twitchy itchy like some dog from the streets, and then hopefully you get back on track, and you get to your Andrew Tate state. You know what I mean? And that's life. Your experiences for life can come from fiction, but also through real life. And I guess we are trying to find, all story I guess is finding a good way for living. And this Gargoyle TV show, it's really cool because like they talk how the villain Xanatos is very memorable, and also Demonia. And man, I get goosebumps part 2. And it is. And the writer who was, I don't know if he was a writer, illustrator, or what he was. I will check that out. But I thought, man, this resonated so strongly with me. I have to share this. And after this video, I will do a German video, and I hopefully can get it as good as in this video. But the writer was he had seen things of life, but he still was funny. And so when they were creating Thanatos, the evil guy, he was thinking of something like, okay, maybe this guy is a Bruce Wayne type character, and he's not evil, but he just is so goal oriented that not that he's evil, not that he wants other people see die or fail, but he's just so focused on his goals that he bends and stretches the laws and what is right and what is wrong to achieve his goals. So Xanatos is not a cookie cutter evil guy. And then Goliath is a very true hero in his sense, but he learns from being naively good to becoming more nuanced good, because this new world and the world we're living is very nuanced. Like, you can see someone in trash talk on the internet and say, okay, that's a bad person, we need to shut him up, but then you see the whole reel and the whole context, and it's whole different. And so you become a smarter person. You see through the veil, you can uncover the matrix and see it for what it is. And so Xanatos as evil guy is very appealing. You're almost rooting for him because he's so charming. And then Demona, and the showrunner talks about this, and then Demona gets like something like Magneto, and Magneto from the X-Men, like he wants to save the mutant race, that gets put into Demona. Like, Demona is rooting for Gargoyles. We have to preserve the Gargoyles, and the humans are our enemy. It's like we versus them, our tribe, our color, our heritage versus them. And so you can relate to her, you can relate to all her pains, all the injustices she has suffered through, and now she's the bad girl, she's the bad guy, the antagonist. But she's very relatable, like almost like a terrorist now, and she's very smart in her ways and also very loving, like, and that makes her a tragic figure, and you're also rooting for her, and it's really great. And if you see, like, Demona has got the Magneto approach when, I don't know who wrote it, like John Byrne or Brian, or I don't know what his name is called, but like when they first created Magneto in X-Men, they thought of, okay, we have Martin Luther King, a black person who wants to see the black people and the white people united, and we have Malcolm X, a guy who sees like, no, we black people have to stand up for ourselves, everything else is an illusion, we have to fight for our rights. And so you see that Martin Luther King was made into Charles Xavier, and Malcolm X was made into Magneto. And the writer of the show goes also on to, I guess he read a lot of literature, and so he put a lot of Macbeth and old stuff, mystical stuff into the comics. And it's a great show, and I hope you watch the video. And the people giving their voices to the characters, like I don't remember the guy's name. He played in They Live, a black guy, and he's really great. And he gives the voice to Spawn, to the HBO Spawn, and he gives the voice to Goliath, and the guy from Star Trek: The Next Generation, who played Riker. Is it the real name? It's a long time ago. So he voiced Xanatos, and a colleague of his who played Diana on Star Trek, she voiced then Demonia, or did she voice another character? So from a simple premise, this Gargoyles goes into a very deep thing. And the showrunner also says at a certain point, Xanatos has some soldiers, minions, allies, and they're all evil. But then at a certain point, the writer recognizes that maybe one of his female henchmen becomes a lover. So like Joker and Harlequin, and they flesh that out. And I guess like when Bruce Timm wrote is it Mad Love or something like that? He wrote like how this Harley Quinn psychiatrist fell in love with the Joker, and it's really cool dynamics. Like you see, really those people had fun. They were swinging for the fences. They were not just rehashing some bad shit. Like they were really creative. And when I'm stressing really creative, you don't have to say, okay, how do I come up with creativity? Sometimes you find it in your own subject, or you see it in real life, or you see it in the media. Like Sylvester Stallone came up with the Rocky screenplay while he was watching Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay fighting an Irish guy, and the Irish guy was beating Muhammad Ali in the 12th round, something like that. And so he was inspired. He said, how can something like this happen? And then Sylvester Stallone wrote the script, and fiction imitates life, and life imitates fiction, and so on. Because like the DNA of the inspiration is the story, the meaning, the strength it gives the audience. And so watch the clip. It goes 10 minutes, or watch it. Like it's great to see how something like that gets made. Maybe it inspires you. After this, I will go into my Dario Hawaii, the next comic I'm planning, and I'm sharing this process so that you can see, okay, what are the topics in my life that really that are the focal pain points and joy points in my life. What can I talk about? Because like I'm not really a guy who writes now a horror movie, but if I think, and we'll come to that in the next video, about what creates horror in me, or positive things, then I know what I can write about. And then you have like your future position, you have your moment right now, what you're struggling against, what your story is, and then your past. Like for me, this Disney stuff is my juice of life, or Warhammer is my juice of life, tabletop games, Magic the Gathering, literature, Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. And when you know and can narrow it down what is you truly are, then everything you make becomes an expression of yourself. And it's not a copy anymore. You use all those references you have, like colors and means of expression. So we see us in the next video. See ya.